All right, I'm out here grilling. It's Thursday. I'm continuing to get my swole on because of this corona shit. I'm going to put on some extra weight just in case. Anyway, I saw a video today, and it was Brother Steve Shaw. And he was talking about macros, and do you need to track them, or do you not need to track them? Should you or shouldn't you? You know, should you track them, or do you need to track them, or not? And he mentioned it because he decided to track his macros for a day because he doesn't normally do that at all. He doesn't do it. He hasn't done it in a couple decades, I believe he said. And things worked out just fine for him. So when he did take an accounting the other day, and mentioned it on his Instagram, it turns out his protein was somewhere around the 150s or 160s or something around there. Somewhere around in there, I might be wrong. But when he posted that information, he got a whole lot of comments about, wow, with the protein that low, man, are you losing strength, are you losing size? Even though he already explained that nothing's changed in how he eats, he just decided to take an accounting, that's all, okay? So he was making a video to point out that not everybody needs to track their macros, and if you don't feel like tracking your macros, you're going to be okay. That you know, most people don't need as much protein as others claim they need. You can get by with a lot less. And what I'd say to that is, whatever works, works. Whatever's working for you, if it works for you, it works for you. You know, proof is in the pudding. If it's working for you, then who can look at you in the face of progress, right? If you have a goal, you have a destination, and you're getting there, and you're making these accomplishments, however you're doing it, then people can say whatever they want to say, Monday morning quarterback, but the point is you've already made gains, you've already made progress, it's already working. It's in the works, and it's working for you. So whatever works, works. You don't need another man's approval. You understand? So that's what works for him. That's the way he does it. Okay, but he's not just like a regular guy, really. Okay? It's when he comes to this shit. He's been around a long time. He's already accomplished a lot with his own physique, you know? Rather than just reading about it, he's accomplished it with his own physique, all right? He's moved some weight. He's lost some body fat and changed his appearance completely. And he's an active guy. He runs, does these 5Ks or whatever it is he does. I know he does that kind of shit. And he's an outdoors guy. He's outside a lot. See him and his wife out hiking and on trails and all that kind of stuff. So he's an active guy. He's not just like, you know, he's not a regular guy that's just decided to start to pay attention to how he eats. You know what I'm saying? He had to formulate a plan and figure out a way for him to lose the body fat that he lost and to change his physique into what it is today. So he has experience, in other words. So for a guy like that to even just off the cuff, just on autopilot eat, he knows where he needs to be just instinctively. Same thing with me. I don't need to count everything all the time, and I don't. But, here's the thing, but when I do count, that's when I'm serious, and that's when I really make the progress, when I do count. For me, because I can just lay back and just, and I'm tired of all this shit, all these years, all this lifting and shit and eating and stuff. I'm not going to stop, but I want to make it as easy and simple as possible, just like he does. So I don't always count at all. I more not than do. But when I do, if I decide to get serious, I count. And it has a huge impact. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. Progress spikes. And I will tell you this, everybody that I've known, when they begin to count their macros and they begin to track food like that, progress spikes. Okay? And these are guys who built good physiques, who were already doing fine, but they started tracking it and they did better. Okay, I'll give you a perfect case in point. Jason Bogman, one of the Bogman twins. Awesome physique, lots of muscle, just excellent genetics for just overall shape and proportion and the silhouette, right? And I told him, I looked at him and I said, I don't think you're getting enough protein. He's like, oh, I'm getting plenty of protein, you know. I get protein, I make sure I get enough. I said, how many grams do you get a day? He said, I don't know, I don't really track it. I said, add it up, you're not getting what you think you're getting. And he counted it up and he wasn't getting what he thought he was getting, and today he's like a monster because now he tracks it. So, difference is this. There are guys that can make progress and do quite well without literally tracking every gram of protein. But when they begin to knuckle down and track their food in that fashion, then they really experience an epiphany. And then they go to a whole different level with it. So it really doesn't matter that they were making good progress before or not. In relative comparison, they're making a lot better progress when they begin to track. And I've seen that across the board as far as muscle gain, as far as hypertrophy. You got to understand my priority is hypertrophy. All right? You know, power lifters that are in that groove, in that mentality, they're not always trying to gain weight as they gain strength. But if you're just primarily interested in hypertrophy, the strength comes with the territory, but the primary motivation is the hypertrophy. It's the primary concern. When you begin to track macros, pay attention to that shit, that's when you make your most progress. That's what I've seen, as far as what I've seen. You know, so like I said, that's double-edged sword. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to enough degree that I don't do it most of the time. Most of the time, I'm not tracking day to day. I'm not counting. I just have a feel. But if I decide there's something in particular I want to accomplish, and I'm serious, then it goes right along with it. If I'm serious, that means I start tracking. When I start to track, then the course it's a whole different thing as far as the progress, the kind of progress I experience then. When I get serious, I track. And for everybody I've ever known, it's like a bridge they cross. If they're interested in hypertrophy, they're trying to build muscle, and that's the priority. They may be building muscle. They may have a decent physique under development, you know, but when they get to that point where they begin to start to count their macros, whole different thing. Experience, the whole thing changes, and it yields more results, better and improved results, more gains. It just does. Because inevitably, people aren't getting what they think they get. Just like when they drink water. You know, people think, oh, I drink plenty of water. Yeah, how much? And always turns out they're not drinking what they thought they're drinking. It's the same thing with protein in particular. And the reason I'm on protein so hard is when I first started out, once I began to track protein, and I was making steady, pretty decent progress, if I did a plateau, every time I turned the protein up another 50 grams, I'd gain more size. You know, and I'm not saying it was that often that I had to keep turning it up. I turn it up 50 grams, I'm good to go for the year. But, yeah, you know, and of course there's the rule of diminishing returns. It's not like you're going to go up to 1,000 grams of protein. But I have gone high. At my biggest, I was way up there, 400, 500 grams a day. But my calories were mad, insane, and there was no supplement as far as protein. It was all solid food meals. And it was inconvenient as a motherfucker. It was a full-time job, and it, you know, that was a long, long time ago. You know. Anyway, so yeah, I would say that if you don't track, depends on what your goals are. You know, if you're happy with your results the way they're rolling on, keep doing what you're doing, bang on. But everybody that I've seen, which I'm not saying this could be 100% of the people out there, but everybody that I've seen and worked with, as soon as you start tracking and you start counting, if you haven't been doing it, then you totally have an epiphany, an experience like that just really is eye-opening, because then you really begin to make serious progress, regardless of, you know, how well you were doing or might have been doing beforehand or thought you were doing. And then again, when you're looking at a guy like Steve Shaw, like Brother Steve, you cannot take for granted or discount the reality that he's been at this so long, you know, that like myself, I eat for I eat for what my intention is. And this size and shit is my intention. So I'm so accustomed to it that I just have a natural feel. My body knows what it needs, and I can just throw it down the hatch without tracking. And I do just fine, as you can see. I'm not tracking now. But then again, if I were to get a wild hair and decide maybe I'm going to consider competing again, or whatever, it would have to be something to really motivate me to go for it, because been there, done it all. Why would I do it again? I'm not that excited about it, because I'll never be as big as I once was. Not now. I'll never be as strong as I once was. Not now. So, anything that I do, no matter how much progress I make now, it's still going to be second best, at best, to what I previously obtained or achieved. So it's kind of hard to get it up for that. But if I were going to, I would begin to track all my macros, but especially the protein, because the fat and the carbs will sort itself out. Run that protein up, fat and carbs sort itself out. You can feel that out a little more easily. Some people more sensitive to carbs, some more sensitive to fats. Fats and the carbs usually you can juggle that around, sort that out, make up the remainder. But the protein is going to be diet-wise, whatever my diet is trying to accomplish, protein is the lead, and everything else follows suit. Even if I'm getting cut up, whatever. Anyhow, that's it. That's all I got. So certainly not disagreeing with them, just offering a different point of view. And again, I'm saying guys that have been at this a long time and know their bodies can do things that average guy's not going to be able to do, because the average guy just hasn't been at it long enough and hasn't developed that natural instinctive feel.